Good morning, this is Miss Webb. I'm doing this video because I want to try to help the people that are still struggling with 45, 45 90s and 30, 60, 90 triangles. So let's see how we can do. I want to make sure my pen is working, and it's not. Let's see if it'll get going here. There it goes, it's getting connected. Okay, a 45, 45, 90 triangle. I have the example down here. Let me find my pen again. Here we go. Let me get in here. On a 45, 45, 90 triangle, you have a leg and a leg. Why do we both call them legs? Because they're the same. If this length is 4, this length is 4. If this is, I don't know, 2 square root 3, then this side is 2 square root 3. They're exactly the same. So when you come to these, you have to identify that it's a 45, 45, 90. And on this one, all I did was tell you, well, I know these two side lengths are equal. But according to our theorems, if you know the two side lengths are equal, then you also know the two angles are the same. And that's how we know they're each 45, 45. Okay, you have to be able to know that if I go straight across from the right, wherever it might be, this is my hypotenuse. Okay. Now, if I know what the leg is and I want to go to, and I want to say go to the hypotenuse, I multiply times square root 2. So if this is 4, I multiply times root 2 and I get 4 root 2. Okay, if I know the hypotenuse and I want to go back to the leg, I'm going to do the opposite of multiply. I'm going to divide by root 2. So if this hypotenuse here is 4 root 2, I would say 4 root 2 divided by root 2 would make the leg 4. And let me show you some examples. Okay, I have to identify my hypotenuse, which is right up here, because it's straight across from the right. They tell you it's a 45, 45. That means this is a leg and this is a leg. We know the legs are exactly the same. So this leg would be 8 root 5. This one up here, I'm going from the leg to the hypotenuse. I'm going to multiply 8 root 5 times root 2. And remember our rules for radicals. What stays in the house, what's in the house stays in the house. I end up with 8 root 10. Let's come down here. I identify that this is my hypotenuse. That means this is the leg and this is the leg. They told me it was a 45. That's kind of important. You have to know it's a 45, 45. Okay, if I'm going from the hypotenuse back to the leg, I'm going to say that's 8 root 2. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to divide by root 2. And I'm going to say the leg is equal to 8. So when I'm going from the leg to the hypotenuse, I'm multiplying times root 2. When I'm going from the hypotenuse to the leg, I'm dividing by root 2. Let's try this one. Again, they have to tell you it's a 45, 45. Or they'd have to tell you that both sides are the same. Otherwise, you have no idea and you can't use this. Okay, my hypotenuse is right here. So therefore, this is a leg and this is a leg. 45, 45, so this is 6 root 2. This is 6 root 2. My hypotenuse, if I'm going from the leg to the hypotenuse, I'm going to multiply 6 root 2 times root 2. I get 6. Look. Look, I have 2 inside, so it pops out. 6 times 2 is equal to 12. Okay, let's come over here. They have to tell you it's a 45-45, or they have to tell you these two sides are equal and that this is a right. Okay, this time they're giving me my hypotenuse and I want to go back to the leg. So I'm going to divide by root 2. So if I come over here and I say 11 square root 2 over 2, and I want to divide by root 2, how ugly is that? I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm going to show you another trick on this one. It's not a trick, but you're just going to use your algebra here. I'm going to say 11 root 2 over 2. Instead of dividing by root 2, I'm going to multiply 1 over root 2. Same thing. Now I get 11 root 2 over 2 root 2. And look what happens. I get 11 over 2 for x and 11 root 2 for y. Okay, now I'm seeing a lot of you have problems with your radicals, and the other examples I'll show you, I'll do a little better job showing you some other examples with radicals. But, I'd really like to see you get this process down. So, we're not supposed to have any radicals in the denominator, but if you leave it down there, at least you're getting the process right. So you would get partial credit. Okay, when you have 30, 60, 90 triangles, they have to tell you. If they don't tell you, you can't assume anything. Remember, I always say, don't assume anything. They have to tell you. Now, if you have a 30, 60, 90, we have what you call a short leg, a long leg, and a hypotenuse. I know the hypotenuse is always straight across from the 90-degree angle. Okay, straight across from the 90. I know if I go straight across from the 60, I get a long leg. Why? Because I'm opening up that angle and it makes it a longer leg than the 30. If I go straight across from the 30, I end up with a short leg. And we always work from the short leg. It makes it easier. If I know where my hypotenuse is, and my short leg, and my long leg, I know whatever my short leg is, if I multiply times root 3, I have my long leg. If I know where my short leg is, if I multiply times 2, I know my hypotenuse. So what am I going to do if I want to go back to the short leg? I'm not going to multiply, I'm going to divide. The hypotenuse divided by 2 gives me the short leg. The long leg divided by root 3 gives me the short leg. Let's do some examples. Okay, the very first thing, and this is what I'm seeing wrong on some of your assignments, you have to be able to identify right across the 90, this is my hypotenuse. Across from the 60 is my long leg. Across from the 30 is my short leg. It won't always look like this triangle. They'll move it around, they'll do everything. Look at the angles and tell me what's the side across from the 30, what's the side straight across from 60, and you have to be able to label the triangle. I'm seeing a lot of mistakes on that part. Okay, after you've labeled your triangle, okay, think of it. I'm starting with the short leg. How do I figure out what my long leg is? I'm going to go this way, and I'm going to say it's the short leg times root 3. I have the short leg. I want to go to the hypotenuse. It's the short leg times 2. Okay, what if I want to go backwards? I know what the long leg is, and I want to go to the short leg. I'm going to divide by root 3. What if I know the hypotenuse and I want to know what the short leg is? I'm going to divide by 2. Let's give it a try. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to label my triangle. Here's the right, so this has got to be the hypotenuse. This says 60. They have to tell you that's 60, 30. That makes this the long leg, 30. That makes this one the short leg. When I know the short leg, I'm going to multiply to get to the other sides. So if my short leg is 4, my long leg is 4 times root 3. My short leg is 4. I'm going to multiply times 2, and I'll get the 8. See how that worked? I forgot that I already had the 8 there. And look, if you go backwards, 8 divided by 2 will give you your short leg of 4. 4 root 3 divided by root 3 will go back and give you the short leg of 4. Let's try this one down here. Okay, here's my hypotenuse. If I go straight across from 30, there's my short leg, and there is my long leg. I know what my short leg is. My short leg's 3. I multiply times 2, and I got my hypotenuse. My short leg is 3. I multiply times root 3, and there is my long leg. Let's come down here. I have to be able to label it. This is my hypotenuse. Straight across from 30 is a short leg, long leg. Okay, my short leg is 1, so my hypotenuse, I'd multiply times 2, and I get that 2. My short leg is 1, my long leg is 1 times the root 3. So those are really basic examples. Let's try some more. Okay, again, the first thing I do is I gotta label it. Hypotenuse, that's a 60, so that's long leg. And that would be the 30 up here, so this has got to be my short leg. Okay, I know my short leg. Short leg, I multiply times 2 to get to my hypotenuse. Short leg, I multiply times root 3 to get my long leg. Because I'm going from the short leg to the long leg of the hypotenuse. Let's try this one. Okay, I got to label it. Hypotenuse, long leg, short leg. This time, I don't know what my short leg is. I need to figure that out first. Now, the only thing they give me is the long leg. I know when I'm the long leg and I'm going back to the short leg, I'm going to divide. So I'm going to do 16 root 3 divided by root 3. And I get 16. Now I know my short leg, and I'm going to go get my hypotenuse by going to the hypotenuse, and I'm going to multiply, and I get 32. The reason why I always say always work from the short leg is I'm not going to jump from the long leg over to the hypotenuse, okay? I'm going to go long leg, short leg, then hypotenuse. If I taught you the formulas for going this way, it would just be more stuff to learn. We can always do it this way. Okay, let's label my triangle. Hypotenuse, short leg, long leg. I do not know my short leg. So if I want to go from the hypotenuse back to the short leg, I divide by 2 and I get a 4. If I want to go from the short leg to the long leg, I multiply times root 3. Okay, let's try this one down here. That says 30 degrees, so that must be my short leg. This must be my hypotenuse because it's straight across from the right, and this is my long leg. Okay, I don't have my short leg, and I want to figure that out first. I have what my long leg is. If I have my long leg and I want to go back to my short leg, I'm going to divide. Okay, now if they're both in the house, then I can divide. Okay. Do you know what the square root of 4 is? It's 2 times 2. There's 2 of them. It pops out. It's equal to 24. Now, if I'm going from my short leg to my hypotenuse, I'm going to say it's 24 times 2 and get 48. Okay, I hope that helps you with your assignments. Thanks.